Okay, imagine this for a second. What if your family life, every single part of it, from chores to the layout of your house, was actually codified into law? Well, today we're going to deconstruct a really fascinating document that does exactly that. It's called the Arcana Codex, and it lays out the formal rules for a unique family structure called the love diamond. We're going to see how rules, roles, and even architecture are used to build a very, very specific way of life. Right off the bat, the Codex hits us with this powerful idea. Architecture trains behavior. Think about that. How can a building, a house, literally train a person? It's a pretty bold statement, and it suggests the design of our homes can actually shape who we become. This is the key, you guys, to understanding everything that follows, so let's keep that in the back of our minds as we go. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what this family structure even is. Then, we'll map out the actual people involved to make it real. After that, we'll take a tour of their home, check out the hierarchy of roles and the rules they live by, and finally, we'll get to the philosophy holding the whole thing together. All right, first up, what does it even mean for a family structure to be canonized? Well, it means this isn't just some theory on paper. We're looking at a real-life case study, the Pondamar-Zelenonabe household. Their way of living has been considered so successful that it's actually been formalized into law for other families to potentially adopt. So what is a love diamond? At its heart, yeah, it's a formalized, multi-partner family. But the secret sauce isn't just the number of adults, it's the foundation it's built on. We're talking shared care, shared discipline, and maybe most importantly, communal guardianship. In this system, every single adult is responsible for every single child. Okay, now let's put some faces to the theory. We're going to map out the actual people of the Pondama-Lenenabe household. This is where the abstract ideas start to feel very, very real. The Codex uses this awesome term for this, adult geometry. I love that. Think of it like a blueprint for the family's leadership team. It doesn't just define who the adults are, but their specific jobs, their family lines, and even what they do for a living. And here is that geometry in action. You've got four core adults from two different households, Podoma and Lenoneb, coming together. There's Dakono, the main husband, who's a mechanical engineer. Then there's Candisara, the main wife, whose domain is the home and its governance. Joining them, you have Tourette Lela, the second wife and entrepreneur, and Fair Tain, the second husband, who is an Araucana warrior. You can see how each person brings a totally distinct contribution to the table. So this adult geometry has resulted in 7 children from 3 different parental combinations. But here's the absolute game changer, the legitimacy doctrine. This states that all children are 100% legitimate and guardianship is communal. In this family, there's no such thing as a half-sibling. They are all just siblings, full members of the diamond, period. And now we circle right back to that opening idea. Remember? Architecture trains behavior. Let's see how the physical space they live in, this 3-story hacienda-style home, is literally designed to reinforce this whole family structure. The house is laid out by purpose. The first floor, that's your community hub, shared spaces like the living room and kitchen where everyone comes together. Then you go up to the second floor, the family floor, and get this, the children's corridor is explicitly split by father line. The third floor is all about growth, a space for work, study, and prayer. Every floor has a clear job to do. And the rules just hammer this design home. The kids' hallway organizes them by their lineage. The elders are kept close, but in their own unit, giving them both connection and independence. And I find this one fascinating, no TVs in bedrooms. All media has to be a shared, communal activity. You can see how every rule is designed to train a very specific behavior. Okay, so we've covered the physical architecture. Now let's get into the social architecture, the hierarchy of roles. This part of the Codex lays out the duties, the training, and the command structure for every single person under that roof. Now, this is really important. The Codex specifies a functional hierarchy for the wives, but it's careful to say this is functional, not affectional. It's not about who's the favorite, it's about your contribution to the whole. You see the roles alternate, internal homemaking, external financial work. And check out the continuity rule. The husband is also required to be a continuous student. Everyone is interdependent, everyone has to keep growing. This structured approach goes all the way down to the kids' development. At age 12, sons start manhood training, learning super practical skills like repairs and hunting. At 14, daughters begin womanhood training, focusing on domestic skills and personal finance. But here's the key. While their focuses are different, look at the shared foundation. Both paths include martial arts, navigation, and faith, and both end with a formal rite of passage into adulthood. Even the relationships between siblings are codified. It's a command structure based on age and responsibility. And this gets at another one of those core philosophies. In this system, love is a given. It's unconditional for everyone. But respect, that's something you have to earn through your actions and your commitment to your role. So, what happens when someone steps out of line? Well, that brings us to the protocols of order. This is the enforcement arm of the Codex. It's the system for discipline, for dealing with disrespect, and for bringing someone who messes up back into the fold. For the adults, there's a very clear four-step process. It all starts with a formal verbal warning. If that doesn't work, it escalates to restricting rights or property. Step 3 allows for a lawful corporal penalty, and the absolute last resort for the most severe offenses is banishment from the community. It's worth noting, the Codex says children can never be banished. And disrespect is handled out in the open. The offense is literally named aloud, and then the whole community enforces a period of social ignoring, basically shunning, until that person makes it right. Accountability isn't just a private matter, it's a group effort. So after all of that, all these intricate and sometimes pretty severe rules and roles, we get to the big question. Why? Why build a system like this? The Codex's conclusion tells us everything we need to know right in the title. Structure protects love. It really all boils down to these three final tenets, and they tie everything we've talked about together. First, architecture trains behavior. We saw how the house itself shapes their values. Second, structure protects love. All those hierarchies and rules aren't meant to be a prison. They're seen as a fortress that keeps affection safe. And finally, interdependence prevents abandonment. By making everybody absolutely essential to the group, the system is designed to make sure nobody ever gets left behind. The Arcana Love Diamond makes its structures completely explicit. I mean, they're written down as law. And it leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. What are the unspoken rules, the invisible architecture, and the assumed hierarchies that are secretly governing our own lives and our own families?